Just to let you know that Nelly Don produced most of the women's uniforms during World War II, and she refused to be a profiteer so she never took a profit. Our next model is Audrey McBride, and Audrey was in the film modeling, and I think you actually modeled this dress, did you not, Audrey? Yes, you did. Very good. She's a senior at Kansas University as a business administration major, and a minor in Spanish, and a minor in modeling. Audrey was one of the fashion models, as shown, and she's wearing a pink 1970s Stoner Square dress by Nelly Don that has a matching belt tying at the waist. Just to let you know that Stoner Square was a division of Nelly Don that created dresses and other clothing, and the label was created in 1968. I think it's interesting because the men owned Nelly Don by this time, and only the men would call it Stoner Square and not get the entendre there. All right. Ava Smith is our next model. And she comes to us from St. Teresa's Academy, where my mother graduated from, and my sisters graduated, and many of my family members. And Ava is part of the St. Teresa's Fashion Club, and she's wearing a fun, what they call A-line dress from the 1960s, when the hemlines weren't generally as long as the 50s and the 70s. Collectively, the young models today prefer knee-length dresses, and most were longer. That's a unique style dress that she has on there. And our next model is Johanna Carney. And Johanna is a freshman at St. Teresa's Academy. And I think you should give it up for every one of these models, because these young ladies are volunteering there Saturday. She is in the Fashion Club. She's wearing a pale blue dress with white tree leaves, and it has a white tie under its collar. This dress was produced in the late 60s. And just to let you know that, Nelly Don was one of the first companies, well, actually, she was the one to invent the assembly line manufacturing technique, which we tried to capture in the film with the song Needle Dee. Our next model here is Bailey Biggs. And Bailey is a senior at Notre Dame de Sion. Bailey is interested in historical fashion, albeit she said she typically is interested in even older dresses than this one. And she is modeling this pink buttoned bodice that we presume was made in the 1950s. It likely came with a belt and is a very light fabric, perfect for summer. And I should tell you something, that it's hard to find the dresses from the 20s and 30s. As a matter of fact, most of the dresses manufactured in the 30s, even when they were no longer worn, they were repurposed during the Depression because people did not throw things away because of the Depression. Our next model here is Alina Stribling, and she is a junior at Barstow. So we're glad to have somebody from Barstow represented here. She is very active playing volleyball and soccer at Barstow, and she's wearing a pink dress with bold ruffles that covers the buttons and a matching belt. This dress is also pleated, and it looks like many of the dresses like women would wear today. It looks like it would be very appropriate, although they may alter the length, because our sense of it is that all of these ladies would prefer that the hemline be a little bit higher than what you're seeing here today. Thank you, Alina. I appreciate your modeling for us there. Okay, this is Kate Schneeberger, and she is a junior at Notre Dame de Sion. And Kate is very interested in theater, so hopefully we'll see her on the stage in the years to come. And this dress is a light pink button down with a matching belt. Kate's, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. My bad. I was told not to say that, and there I said it. She's wearing a navy blue 1940s button down, mid-length, with poplin fabric. Okay, so forgive me for that one, Kate. I owe you something. I don't know what. Very good. Okay, our next model is Heidi Nance, and she is a sophomore at Notre Dame de Sion. And she is interested in vintage fashion and sewing, and Heidi's selection within our collection of vintage Nelly Dons is this cream fabric adorned with lace going vertically on the bodice and horizontally below the bodice, cinched in at the waist. And it's estimated that this is a 1950s dress, placing it around the time that Nell would have been retiring. I might also mention that Nell was the primary designer for Nelly Don well into the 1940s. Interestingly, well, I'll tell you a little story here, but let's get Nicole up here. And Nicole Mitchell is a freshman at St. Teresa's Academy. She's wearing red, white, and blue in honor of Veterans Day today. She calls it her flight attendant outfit. One of the things that you see in the dresses from the 1960s and 70s is there's a lot of polyester.
Yeah.
Polyester was coming into vogue, as a fabric. And I was talking with one of the models earlier. She said, "Well, one thing about it, it sure is warm as polyester." So thank you, Nicole. Appreciate your efforts. But I should mention that, Nelly Don's story was not, I'm not the first one to ever tell this story. In the 1940s, Nell's story was told by NBC Radio in a program called The Golden Needle, and Look magazine sent a young photographer named Stanley Kubrick to photograph Nelly Don in the 1940s. And so, we are talking about someone today who was very celebrated during her lifetime. And here we have with us today Willa Cosgrove. Now, Willa is the daughter of Jim Cosgrove, who appeared a couple of times in the movie. And her passion is playing the bass drum. I hope I get to play with you someday. Let's see. Willa might be an entertainer one day. She's wearing a 1950s Nelly Don dress with classic pleats, 3/4 length sleeves, and the top button down. And so thank you, Willa. Oh, and always, as usual, all these dresses have pockets too. Nell is a big believer in pockets. Okay, our next model is Amelia Diefendorf, and she is a junior at Shawnee Mission East, or Shawnee Mission East Lancers, and she is passionate about playing the violin in the orchestra. And something I might say is, you might think, well, wait a minute, this is a pantsuit. Nell was making pantsuits in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way through. So the fact that you see not a dress but a pantsuit is not anomalous within the Nelly Don catalog of dresses. The whole thing about Nell is she wanted everybody to be comfortable. This is part of the Donnelly brand of Nelly Don. There were a number of sub-brands that fell under the Nelly Don label. So give it up for Amelia. And we have here Kira Schneider. And Kira is wearing a really sweet dress. She is a junior from Shawnee Mission East and is interested in music as a trumpet player. Kira is wearing a stylish black and white check pleated dress with 3/4 length sleeves, large buttons on the bodice, and a black tie around the collar. It's worth noting, as many of our models may be thinking about their future college plans, that Dominic Garment Company offered numerous unique benefits for workers, such as tuition support and family scholarships. And Nell was very, very charitable with her employees. She helped them in many ways, paid for their medical and everything like that. Our next model is Carolyn Deacon, and she is a junior from Notre Dame de Sion, and she is interested in photography. And perhaps it was her eye for photography that helped her select this vivid blue dress with fabric so light its white pleats easily flow as she turns. It has short sleeves with a matching tie around the neckline. This is an excellent example of a well-made dress, like so many of Nelly Don dresses in a pattern and fabric that really could be worn today. And then we have Emily Schimmel, and Emily is, I don't know, you're a junior at Notre Dame de Sion. Very good. This dress is quite unique. If you saw it in a store, you'd likely attribute it to a new fabric, but it actually is very close in weight and texture as scarves that women often wore to protect their hair in the 1960s. And it's a sweet floral pattern. It's obviously sleeveless, but you just throw a light jacket over it and it can be worn during most seasons of the year. And thank you, Emily. Next, we have Susie Cradfield Dalton, and she was in the film in the Dante's Inferno scene. Now, we don't insult them by calling them extras. They're now background actors, okay? And so she was a background actor in the Dante's Inferno scene. She is also sort of tangentially related to me. Her brother is married to my sister, so she's my sister-in-law. Let's see, Susie celebrated her 40th wedding anniversary recently. Congratulations. She owns this ornate formal Nelly Don dress. The full-length mint green dress has lace sleeves and yoke with silver thread detailing woven in, beading and silver thread detailing across the front yoke. And here's what Susie wrote about her life. I lived in Kansas City my whole life and grew up as a baby boomer just south of the Country Club Plaza on West Concord. My interest in sewing began when my mom taught me how to sew when I was in grade school. Being one of 8, I liked Nell because she loved the idea of sewing her own clothes and avoiding the inevitable hand-me-downs headed her way. And this is true of Susie because she had 2 older sisters and she was happy to wear hand-me-downs, so she had to do a lot of what Nell did, which was refashion them. Thank you, Susie. Appreciate it very much. Next, we have Alana Smith. No, I'm sorry. Audrey, is it? Yeah, this is Audrey. So we have a few models that has changes in outfits, and that's starting with Audrey. For this round, we'll mention that for Audrey, it is home design, fashion, creating artistic quilts, and cats are what she's interested in. And she's wearing a Nelly Don. You have without pleats, but it looks like there's pleats in that dress. You can see where it comes down to the knees. It has a matching belt. One of the things that you should know about Nelly Don, Nell was the first one to put shoulder pads into dresses. She was the first one, and by shoulder pads I mean removable snaps. And she was also the first one to put the buttons into the little baggies that they attached to garments, and she always added extra garment material in all of her dresses so that you could let them out or take them in as need be, understanding that women would want to make the dresses fit to her size. Thank you, Audrey. And next we have, make sure you don't, Ava. Okay, Ava. Oh, look at this. Wow. Now, I don't know that, I'm calling that early 70s is what I'll say. But if anybody wants to contest me on it, that's fine. It's a fun style from the late 60s or 70s with a tie at the neck and long sleeves. The print and style of this piece was fun for our models, given it was so different than anything else that they've ever put on. Again, I think it's probably a little bit longer than they would prefer to wear today, but nevertheless, I do think it is a dress that, given a little attention, would be easily fashionable, you can say. Okay, next is Johanna, okay, and I'm now improvising. This is a little, what you might call the little black dress. Now, interestingly, Coco Chanel is famous for her little black dress. That was very popular. But if you go back into the catalog of Nelly Don fashions, Nell was making little black dresses as early as the 1930s. And so this dress is probably from the 1950s. It's mid-length, as you can see, well, it just falls just below the knees. And it is, I think they call these sheath dresses, because it just kind of flows straight down. The sleeves themselves go not quite to the elbows, giving them plenty of movement. And interestingly, for those of you who sew will know this, but getting the sleeves correct on the dress is probably the hardest aspect. And that's why in one of the lyrics of the song, when Nell's singing, she says to Beulah, she says, "You're expert with sleeves. That's the hardest part of any dress." And I know that because my great-grandmother taught Nell how to sew the sleeves of a dress. And I am related to Nell. And that's, okay. And our next one is, Bailey is back. Very good. So as we mentioned, she has a passion for historical fashion. She also loves art, and she would love to work in costume design. Well, we can introduce you to some people, no doubt about it. Bailey's selection of this black dress and a classic red tie. And then we have Alina, again, junior at Barstow. And we have another pantsuit here. And, she'd be fitting right in with John Travolta staying alive, I think, in this outfit. Alina is interested in modeling and acting, and we appreciate she chose one of the boldest pieces, lemon yellow pantsuit. We have here reminiscent of Charlie's Angels, fair enough. She's taking us back to the 1970s when yellows were king, big collars, vests with belts and matching slacks. An unusual piece for Nelly Don, but one that reflects a lot of style. Thank you, Alina. Appreciate it. And this is our final dress of the afternoon. And this is being modeled by Nicole Mitchell, again, a freshman at St. Teresa's Academy. She selected this taupe brown dress with white raven flower print and high neckline. The dress has a drop-down waist with pleats, and it's an interesting example of that. Drop waist dresses, we wrote a song about drop waist dresses for the 1920s. And it was interesting, when I wrote the song, I was thinking of flappers, and then I came to look at what Nell really did, and I had written that with a hemline just above the knees. Well, actually, the hemline was just below the knees, so I kind of got that one a little confused. But this is a bold dress that obviously not only could be printed in this color brown, but also in many, many different variety of colors. And what's interesting, anytime we've had a fashion show, a model has always picked this dress to model because they just love it. So thank you very much, Nicole. Appreciate it very much. And one more thing I'll say here, you'll see the gentleman over here who's helping the ladies on and off the stage. That is Marco Sepulveda. He is Johnny Lazier. He played Johnny Lazier.
There's another movie that's going to be starting soon, so if you would, when you exit, take all your things, or any trash and everything. And thank you guys for coming.